All right, getting ready for Florida State this week. As we all know, it's been a game that a lot of people look forward to besides the players and coaches, and maybe people put it on their calendar maybe more than most games, but we certainly, it's a big one for us. We understand that. We know it's very important for conference play, and it's also important to get an opportunity to play a great team at a great venue to see how we can handle that as well. So we're looking forward to the battle. Coach Fisher's done a great job. Obviously, his winning percentage is one of the best in America, if not the best. And they've just done nothing but win over there. Well, I'm going to talk a little bit about their offense. Number 18, Tate, wide receiver, leading receiver, 226 yards, 13 catches, 3 touchdowns. A go-to guy for sure. If you watch the, I think it was the NC State game, he caught 6, 7, 8 balls, something like that, and probably would have caught a bunch more if he'd have finished the game. So, very talented guy. The running backs, Patrick, big, giant beast of a guy, really great at breaking through tackles and playing a physical brand of ball. Akers, of course, a lot of people want to talk about Akers too, for good reason, one of the best players in the country last year in high school. Their quarterback, Blackman, as we all know, is a true freshman. He's playing as a true freshman, but I think he's done nothing but gain experience and gain confidence. He's had no interceptions. He threw a game winner last week, which I'm sure helped him. He played two times away as a starter, and now he gets to go home and play in front of his crowd. So their special teams are dangerous. They've had their ups and downs like we have too, to a certain degree, but when you look at their return men, I guess if you saw the Wake game, I think James took it back to the touch took it back 100 yards for a touchdown, and then it got called back, and then Gavin got it, went about 80. So really good there. And even a year ago in their bowl game, they were struggling a little bit, got a kickoff return for a touchdown, and ended up helping them win the game. So their special teams have been great. Aguayo, their kicker, last year was 12 for 12 inside the 40. This year he's 6 for 8 inside the 40, and freshman All-American a year ago. Defensively, got to start with their big men, Noddy, Christmas, Sweat, Burns, and there's more in there. They roll them around pretty good. But Noddy and Christmas have both played over 30 games in their career. Noddy's at, almost 40 games, and they're just big, physical, strong guys. They got the great edge rushers in Sweat and Burns. Thomas, Hodgkins at linebacker, very talented guys. Thomas has 20 tackles so far, had 10 in the Wake Forest game alone. Great speed guy at the linebacker position. And then you can't hardly go through the defense without talking about, Derwin James, number 3. 2 years ago had 91 tackles, was an All-American, and then of course didn't play a whole lot last year. And this year's already got 18 tackles, 2 pass breakups, playing well. McFadden, a great cover guy. Last year 8 interceptions, and he's the guy that they'll probably put on who they think is our best receiver. And then Tyler, their punter, has had six kicks inside the 20. He's had multiple kicks over 50. So he's very talented as well. So the challenge is there. We're looking forward to it. And with that, I'll let you ask your questions.
How did Mark Walton look today? And
he did all right. He's going to play. And, like last week, unless there's a setback, we believe he'll play.
So did he practice fully?
Yeah. I don't know what that means, but yeah, he practiced.
I guess I'm wondering the same question. How did he look?
Yeah, he practiced. He looked good.
Hey, Mark, you obviously haven't been here for all of them, but this program's lost to Florida State 7 straight times. Is that like
Is that right?
almost unimaginable? You've been part of the series.
Yeah.
You've been
Well, not unimaginable. Florida State's a really good program, and I mean, it's happened and it's in the past, and I don't worry too much about it.
The atmosphere there, it's probably a lot different from Duke, or, what do you expect?
Oh, it'll be loud. There's no doubt. But, once it gets a certain amount of loudness, it doesn't really matter. I mean, once you have to go nonverbal communication, It doesn't matter if there's 20,000 or 80,000 doing it, but they definitely have great atmosphere. The thing that the noise does or the crowd does is usually encourages, obviously, when they do something great, and it accentuates if we don't do something well. And that's the thing that, especially young players, have got to just let it roll off their back. But the biggest issue with crowd noise normally is, getting your snap count and getting your linemen to keep from jumping off sides and things of that nature.
Ron, when you think about the fact that the streak has been what it is, does it sometimes become mental? Is that something that you worry about?
Well, I haven't mentioned it, and I don't think the kids are thinking about it. I mean, we don't have a kid who's been here 7 years, so they're definitely not worried about that streak right now.
You've been on both sides of the rudder. Is there any difference in approach to the game that you see?
No, it's just, two great teams going at each other. Really been, the series is lopsided, but the scores haven't really been that lopsided all the time. I mean, a lot of close games as of late, but not any that Miami's won, obviously. But no, you prepare for a team that that you have to battle every snap. You got to scrap for everything you get. But that's kind of how we go into most all of our games.
17, I guess the last game FSU, I think there were 17 tackles for loss and 5 sacks.
Say again.
FSU's last game, the other team had 17 tackles.
You're talking about just last week?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
And 5 sacks. Your thoughts, I guess.
Well, I just hope we could have that kind of production. It'd be nice. I mean, you got to take your hat off to Wake Forest defense. They did a super job, and we feel like we got a pretty good front seven, but we got to prove it. You got to prove it every week, and I'm sure they'll be getting better at what they do and making adjustments. And we got to make sure that we, play as hard as we're supposed to play and play in the gaps we're supposed to play in, and just get after people.
You've coached, freshman quarterbacks, going all the way back to Chip Ferguson. I think it was the last time they had 2 freshmen. With Jimbo, I mean, what kind of challenges is he going through right now, trying to get this kid ready for a rivalry game?
Well, I was there at Florida State when Chip started, and I was such a young coach, I didn't know it was that big of a deal, and he was so young of a quarterback, he didn't know it was a big deal, and we just kind of blindly went through coaching and playing. We didn't think much about it. I think that, whether a guy's a true freshman or not, he has a certain amount of knowledge of what you're doing, and so you play to that, and he has a certain skill set. You got to play to that. And I think that's true whether you got a young guy or a veteran guy. I couldn't tell you how much Coach Fisher thinks that he has grasped at this point. Coach Fisher has a lot of things that he can do offensively that he's done. He's got a wealth of experience, years and years of experience, and so I doubt that Blackman's got every single thing down pat. So he's got to decide what does he really understand well, and what are we going to try to execute, and then go for it. I'm sure they're going to try, like any game, to have a great running game, because we know a running game for us or for them has been monumental in who wins the game, and also it's very helpful to a quarterback to have a good running game.
This is Malik's, I guess, 5th start. How different is it with a little bit of an older guy like Malik than if you were working with a true freshman?
Well, if I was working with Weldon or Nkosi right now, it would be, again, it's the same answer. You got to figure out what do they really understand well. What have they had enough reps at to expect them to have success in a game and react properly in the game? So, you got to measure that, but you do the same thing with the veteran quarterback. But, I'll say this, there's not much that we've tried to install over the last year and a half that Malik that he doesn't really understand well. The problems, that are created is, when you just get a defensive lineman whip your guard, then you got a problem, and so the scheme might be good, but you got to execute.
Mark, you've been on the team for this rivalry. You've been on against both sides.
Mm-hmm.
But from your perspective, how important is it for these teams, and what can a win do to kind of affect the rest of the season? Because we've seen.
Well, I mean, the bottom line is we're trying to win the Coastal. This game counts. I mean, you know, when you have your goals set, your goal is to end up in Charlotte and play for the championship game and win it. I mean, so that's what you set your sights on. But in order to do it, you got to have the best record in the league. And this is a league game, and that means a lot, you know, from the get-go. But we all know that it's a rival game. I mean, there's a reason why we play them every year. It's a rivalry. And the rivalry games are important. And they're better rivalries when there's some winning and losing on both sides. And that hasn't happened lately.
How about that the kids know each other and play with each other?
Yeah.
Does that have any effect on anything?
Well, I mean, it's just like back in high school. They know each other, and they're always chirping back and forth. And I don't even know if they're doing things social media-wise that I don't see. But, I mean, it's all part of competition.
Anything else, guys? Thank you.
Thanks.